The last time you were here, you were talking about you were getting ready to leave or preparing to leave for an expedition. And I was like, oh, sweet. Sean, where are you going? And you were like, oh, I'm not going to say anything because you don't like to talk about what you're going to do.
Yeah.
But when you come back or you finish what you were going to do, then you're happy to talk about it.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, I tell my son no one else pretty much until I leave. And then I'm like, okay, I'm going.
Right,
to Argentina, and then I'm going to climb in the Andes, and then I'm doing this particular record or something that's motivating me.
Right. So but when we talked to you, you knew that you were going to Argentina.
Yeah, I knew. By that time, I'd already booked everything. Logistics was taken care of, so I was ready to go.
By the way, and I watched some of the videos that you posted. The logistics seemed like they would be very hard to do.
Very hard to do that. The logistics is actually the toughest part. It takes about a year and a half before I found actually one guy who was willing to do the logistics for me for what I was setting to do.
Right.
And so once you have that down, and then of course you know, is the guy full of it or is he serious? I was always like, am I going to show up at the airport and no one's going to be there? And he was way in the back, so I went through customs. I'm looking around. I'm like, oh my God, this guy screwed me. And then suddenly he showed up.
Where did you even fly into?
Mendoza, Argentina.
Right.
So that's usually the hub for the Andes, for the high altitude peaks. Like, you know,
is that a popular climbing area?
No, not well. It's more of a wine. It's become a wine area now. A lot of people go there for wine, the wine country. But yeah, I mean, that's all the mountaineers will usually go to Mendoza if you're going to Argentina, and then you start from there and then drive up. I mean, it was like 2 days to even get to the main part before you even started. So it was a long haul.
So before we start getting into all the details, when you sat down and you were like, I'm going to go to Argentina because I have this urge to go do whatever it is. What in your head, what was the mission going to be?
My goal was to climb the 3 highest volcanoes in the world back to back to back. So every single day climb a new volcano. A new volcano back to back to back. And it's never even been has never been done before. Of course, that's the reason why I was doing it.
And so it's the 3 highest
volcanoes in the world.
And they're all right there.
They're all right there. Yeah, they're not together. That's the big thing, is the logistics, right? So to find a guy to say, hey, I'm willing to go to here, drive all night to go to the next peak, I climb that, and then drive all night to go to the next peak. There was one guy who's willing to do it.
Is that the guy who I see in the video?
No, that's another guy I met. That's another guy I met who was actually traveling, throughout. He was bike riding the entire South America. So I just met him.
Wait, so just some rando dude that was bike riding all through Argentina?
Yeah,
you were like, hey, you want to ride?
Yeah, he had a truck, and we got in there, and he had the dogs, and I was with the dogs in the back. And so he drove this little section. So that's all. And he was a good guy. So he was able to drive us. You know, you can take it wherever you get it, because there's no one around. I mean, there was no one on the peaks when I climbed the volcanoes, 2 of the highest volcanoes. There was no one there. I mean, that's the beauty of it. You know, I was alone.
Right, and you love solo climbing.
Oh, I love it. And
I tell you, you're crazy. Yeah, but God forbid. And Sean, I don't like talking like this, and you know that. But God forbid, like, not even anything serious, but you break your leg. Like, every year we see, God knows how many people get jacked up on Mount Everest or K2 or whatever. People get hurt. Like, it's part of the sport.
Yeah, but, you know, a lot of those people shouldn't probably be on the mountain. But it does happen to experience mountain. I've been doing it for a long time, but it does happen to experience mountaineers. But I've been doing this solo for so long. It's the only way. I love it so much. Just me in the mountain. Just me in the mountain. I love that because it's just this, I don't know, this primal thing where you have to depend on yourself. You can't depend on somebody else. And to me, that's like life.
Right.
You know, you don't depend on somebody else to get you out of something. You can do it yourself if you put your mind to it. And that's when I get on the mountain, I just switch gears. Totally different person.
I, on the other hand, feel like I can't surround myself with enough people.
Jackie!
So it's the 3 highest volcanoes in the world.
That was the goal.
Yeah. And the goal was to go back to back to back.
3 days, 3 volcanoes.
And that's never been done.
Never been done before. I've never even tried.
But clearly there are people that have climbed all 3 of them,
yes,
but just not back to back to back.
Yes.
Are they popular things to climb?
No, not actually, because they're so remote. So on all the peaks, it takes like a half day to a full day just to get from the main road, just to get to the camp, because it's all back roads, and we're not talking gravel roads. We're talking heavy, bouncing around. I mean, it takes forever. So you have to have a 4x4.
Right.
This guy had a Toyota. It was a new Toyota, so I knew I was like, oh, great, it's not going to break down.
Right.
Right. So it takes a lot logistically just to get to the peaks. It's not like the other ones where you usually are a little bit easier to get to.
But if I were going to go, like, what is it? I'm sure I'm going to mispronounce it. Is it Pisses?
Pisces.
Mount
Piss. Yeah, no, Mount Pisces. That's the second highest volcano.
Okay, so let's just go with that one, right? Pisces. If I were a normal climber, how long should it take me to
do it?
Get there?
Yeah.
To go to, is there a base camp like there is on Everest? Is there like a base camp there?
If you're acclimatized, you're ready to go. You've climbed smaller peaks. This is what I did. I climbed 4,000 meter peaks. I climbed 5,000 meter peaks.
What is that in feet? What's 5,000
meters? It's like 18,000.
Oh, that's high.
19,000.
That's high. Yeah, no, that's
get ready
big.
because the volcanoes are over 22,000 feet.
What's Everest?
29,000 feet.
You know what? Because you hear so much about Everest being, like the tallest, and obviously it is. You just think of everything else as it's got to be like itty bitty. That's freaking high.
Yeah, 22. I mean, these are the highest peaks outside the Himalaya in the world. The highest peaks, in South America.
Wow.
Western and Southern hemispheres.
That's up there.
Yeah, they're high. They're pretty high.
All right.
Yeah.
So anyway, I would get there. I'm acclimatized.
No,
I've been like climbing these small hills.
Yeah, it takes a day. Yeah, so it takes a day from the main road to get to the camp. You half day to a full day. So then you get to the base camp. That's that night. If the next day you can either go to high camp or you could try for the summit. Most people go to a high camp,
sleep for a night,
set up for that night, and then the next day, not in the evening because it's extremely cold, go for the summit, come back to the high camp, spend the night there,
and then come down.
And then usually the next day they'll go all the way back down to the road or back to this. There's like a little called a hostiera in the middle of nowhere. There's like a little hotel. It's where all the mining camps go.
Oh, thank you.
So in the like hundreds of kilometers, and then there's suddenly this oasis of this hotel.
So
or
a normal person would do it in 3 days.
About
3 days.
3 days.
If I was
total
pushing
from the road,
from
the road, 3 days. Yeah.
And you did it from the road in 1 day.
17, 18 hours. Yeah, we left it because the wind was so bad for 20 days. The wind was like 160 kilometers per hour.
What's
about
that?
100 miles per hour on the summit.
Oh my God.
The wind's 100 miles an hour?
Every single day. We kept looking at the weather, and I was by day 4, I was getting so depressed because there's no gaps. And then suddenly there's starting to be little gaps where it was like 70 or 80. And it was like 3 or 4 hour blocks. So that's why I decided to do this, because I was the other expedition I knew back to back to back's never going to happen. Right. So I was like, what if we leave from the hotel, drive all the way there in the middle of the night, I'll climb the mountain, we come back, and then we drive all the way back, because you cannot set up a tent because the tent will be blown away. You cannot do it.
Because it's 100 mile an hour
100 mile per hour winds. Yeah. So the guy was staying in the truck the entire time. So that's what we did.
So for 18 hours while you're climbing, he's sitting in the truck?
Well, the climb didn't take 18 hours, but the entire time, he stayed in the truck. When I got there, I had a piece of bread. I threw up on the way there. It's a whole.
Wait, what do you mean you threw up on the way there?
Because
nerves.
He's got Montezuma's revenge.
No. Well, that's why.
Did you have the water?
No. Yeah, we left at 2:00. So before I was hydrating like crazy because I'm not going to have water. I only had 2 liters with me, so I was hydrating like crazy. But then the back roads were bouncy, so I got car sick. So every 45 minutes, I'm like, pull over. So I was throwing up, and I came back in the car, and I was looking at him. He was just like, this guy's not going to do this. Guy's not going to even climb the mountain. So like 4 or 5 times I was puking. So by the time I got there,
well, how dehydrated are you by the time you get to the mountain?
Well, that's the whole point. I had no food in me, no water in me. I was like, just give me a couple pieces of bread. So he was giving me bread. He's like, okay, go ahead. So I get out, and of course the wind's blowing like crazy. And then I put my head down and then just said, well, I'm going to start. And I just started. And now, again, that's when I change gears. Once I get on the mountain, I just become another person. I just get freaking pumped up.
So you're puking. You're full of all that bread.
2 pieces, yeah.
You didn't have your emergency peanut butter stack.
I didn't. That was back at the hotel. I did have that. And so I made him sure he got me those.
You opened the door to the truck.
Yeah.
And it's
blowing like crazy.
100 mile an hour winds. What's the temperature?
Temperature at that altitude was probably about negative 4, negative 20, so negative 4 degrees Fahrenheit, negative 4.
With 100-mile-per-hour winds.
Yeah. Well, back there, yeah, it was about 60-mile-per-hour winds, 100-mile-per-hour winds on the summit. It's worse on the summit, of course.
And then, so you open the door, it's below
It's blowing
zero.
like crazy, yeah.
It's 60-mile-an-hour winds. And at that point, you go, well, here I go.
Well, yeah.
And you're going to spend the next 18 hours?
You've got, no, it didn't take me 18 hours to summit, but you've got to do this. This guy has driven through, for 6 or 7 hours. I was really like, maybe we should just turn around. But I was like, this guy would be so pissed because he took his truck through all these back roads just to get here. I'm like, I've got to at least try.
Right.
So that's when I start off.
So you did it for him.
It's well,
who sat in the
no,
truck?
no.
It was like, I don't know. Stupid's out there climbing. I'm smoking.
It's very deceiving because it's sunny out.
I hope he didn't vomit in my car.
Yeah. It's very deceiving because it's sunny out, but yet the winds are so bad, you can barely even walk. It's incredible. Like the first video I posted, it shows.
What do you wear?
I had 6 layers of clothing on. Seriously. I'll show that in one of my next videos. I had 6 layers, and I was still like, you have to keep moving, that's to me the good part because you can't stop. So you just have to either you go up or you go back down. So I just go, I'll keep going.
Right.
Yeah.
Now, I feel like every time I keep saying you took 18 hours, you get like a little bit of, you're not angry, but a little bit of pissiness where you're like, I didn't take 18 to summit. That included the car ride. I'm faster than that. Yeah. No, but it's like I hit a nerve. It didn't take slow people take 18 hours.
I climbed the mountain actually pretty fast. All right. But I'm saying that the entire time.
I understand that. So from the time you open the car door.
Yeah, from the Hastiera.
No, I don't care about the Hastiera.
18 hours round trip.
I don't care about the Hastiera.
Okay, all right.
I'm talking about.
I'm just trying to get the facts right.
So this guy drives your ass for 7 hours.
Yes. Through the night.
Right. And you get to Mount Pisces.
Yes.
He parks and he goes,
yep.
I hope I see you.
Yep.
From the time and then when you open that door to get back into the car,
yep.
How long are you gone?
It was probably about 7 hours, 6 or 7 hours.
Dude, that's fast.
7 hours. It's
fast.
faster. I go faster to the summit. It's slower for me on the way down because I take my time because I don't like down climbing.
Well, don't they say for a lot of people, like, and again, I'm basing all this on things I've read about Everest, but don't they say like a lot of problems come on the way down because people, well, number one, they're exhausted, fatigued, hungry, maybe they're like
tired
without oxygen, but also the mission, if you will, is complete. You already summited, so they get like a little mentally lazy on the way down.
Yeah, I mean, you're still going down, so it's tough, and you got to watch your footing. So if you're not paying attention there, you could fall. And a lot of people do that. Yeah, I mean, it's pretty dangerous going back down.
What I was getting at is you would say like somebody would get to base, then somebody would get to upper base, and then they would summit and they would come back down, maybe at upper base, spend the night. So maybe 3 days, right?
Yeah, sometimes, yeah.
You did it in 7 hours.
Yeah, the whole thing. Yeah, back to the car, and then we had to drive back.
Okay, I don't count the driving part. Throw that out. Throw that out.
I know, but I'm sure some climbers have climbed it as fast as I've climbed it.
No way.
Oh, I'm sure.
7 hours?
I don't know, maybe. All I know is he's like, never been done. Oh, road to summit, back to road. Crazy. So I'm like, as soon as I hear that, I'm like, all right, good. We got something. Because there's only 3 or 4 hours you have. Again, that wind was so bad.
Right.
I was just happy to get to the summit and get back down, first of all, safely, but also the fact that I never even thought I would even have a chance because the winds were so bad. Every mountain I was climbing, if you watch that first video in a minute, you can't stand up. It's so bad. So I was like, well, okay, 3 or 4 hours. We have that 3 or 4 hour block on that summit. So I had to time it perfectly where I left fast enough where I can get to that top where I knew I had just enough.
A little bit of
a break in that weather where I could stand up and then get down as fast as I possibly could before the winds pick back up again.
But the part that and it was one of the videos that I saw where it looks like, and I'm sure it is, I don't mean for this to sound dumb, but the slope of that volcano is steep as hell.
Yeah.
Like it looks really, really steep.
Yeah, the big thing about that is it's mostly all rock because the snow is is blown off. You want the snow because you can climb much faster.
Oh, really?
Rock is, to me, much worse because it's so you can break your ankle,
right?
You can injure yourself. And also it's steep, so you always have to watch for rock fall. You have to be careful of your steps and stuff like that. So I much prefer the snow, but all the snow usually. You have to look for the gaps of the snow to climb that because then you can climb faster.
So, but is
Get on the glacier.
as steep as it is, right?
Yeah.
And as windy as it was, and like you said, you have to be careful because it's rocks and all of that. Is the wind is the wind just like slamming you up against the volcano on the way up? Like I got to imagine with that much wind, you're not like it's not a comfortable climb.
No, it's not a comfortable climb at all. You just got to put your head down and go upwards.
And I would imagine that you don't allow it to enter your mind at the time. But was there any point while you're doing that where you're scared?
Oh yeah, I mean you're always doubting yourself. You know, should I turn around? You know, always doubting yourself. But then you just have to say, no, I'll keep going. I can do this. I can do this.
Have you ever turned around in the middle of a climb?
Oh yeah.
Have you?
Oh
really?
yeah. I've done it when I was doing some first ascents in Tibet and first ascents in Nepal. A couple ones. It was just too late in the day. Took me longer than I thought. I had to turn around. Yeah.
But do you go all the way down, or are you like, I'm going to turn around now, but I'm going to finish this tomorrow?
No, most of the time, yeah. Some mountains I did that, but some mountains I'll turn back all the way back around and go back to camp. Yeah,
no kidding.
I don't set up camps. I set them way. You know, I always do usually from the base of the mountain to the top. I never set up high camps. I just go straight up to the mountain.
Well, that's why I have that shirt tie in that says "High camps are for pussies."
Actually, that's actually pretty good.
Is it? Oh, yeah, dude, let's go.
We should market that. I like that. High camp is for pussies. Man, that's a good idea.
What is so when you got to the top of PCs?
Yeah.
Is the summit cool?
Yeah, I mean there was.
I know it's windy.
There was a
obviously.
metal cross on the top, I believe.
Yeah, I saw that picture. It almost looks like somebody was changing their tire, and it looks almost like you're trying to loosen lug nuts. Like it's not like a big shaped out cross. It looks like an itty bitty little metal cross that somebody had up there.
Yeah, you put it up there and then you know.
Right.
That's the summit, yeah.
But is it, nobody else was there, obviously.
No. Yeah.
Just you.
Just me. That's the best part.
And what do you do when you get up there?
I real fast, take video, all that stuff, and then immediately go back down. I was up there maybe 5-10 minutes just because it was so windy. You can't bask in there's no basking in the glory of a summit. Like people think you're going to put your arms up. No, I didn't do any of that.
But is there any, but isn't that part of it though? Like, don't you and maybe it's because I've never done it, but I imagine that you want to get up to the top, whether it's this or any of the other mountains you've been on, where you get to the top and there's that moment of like, here I am.
Yeah.
Is that not part
absolutely.
of it?
If you could stay up there long, I mean, it'd be great, right? But I couldn't do it. It was just so windy, and I was like shaking. So you get up there, you're just like, okay, I'm gonna. That was it right there.
Right.
Just take it and then come back, immediately go back down. So again, 5-10 minutes, just take some video, and then come back down.
Is there still that feeling of? And maybe the feeling of success doesn't come until you get back into the car.
Yeah.
But is there still that feeling of I did it? Like is it an emotional moment?
Yeah, for a sense. But you're right. I mean, it's not over yet. You got to get back to the vehicle.
Right.
So it's great, good, accomplished. Let's get back. And then when you get back, then you kind of reflect on what you did and you go, okay, great. Let's go to the next one. I'm always thinking about after I get back down, I'm always kind of motivated. Okay, let's go to the next peak.
So the mission or the expedition was the three tallest volcanoes.
Yeah.
Back to back to back.
Yeah.
And then obviously you're staying in that little hotel and having to schlep all over. Mm-hmm. All three of them aren't obviously the same height. Did you go small, medium, large?
No, I went to PC's was the first one, which is the second highest. And then we found another 3 or 4 hour gap. And that was Ojos. That's the highest volcano in the world.
And you did that one second.
I did that, second. So I was already acclimatized, and by that time I was really acclimatized. I was motivated. I did that even faster.
The tallest one you did faster.
I did faster, because I was already acclimatized. I felt really good, and I was really motivated to do it.
How long did that take you?
That took me about 3.5 hours to get to the summit.
3.5?
3.5 hours, yeah. And I went, again, one of those things.
Are you running up these things?
No, but you just don't stop. You just climbing. But I mean, you just climb, but you keep going. It's amazing how fast you can go. If you're acclimatized at altitude, most people, again, you go slower, you stop, you rest. But I couldn't stop because I was climbing at night.
Right.
I'll post a second video on that, on the rest of it. But yeah, so I was climbing at night. So you just keep motivated, keep moving and keep moving. And then the last part of Ojos, not a lot of people summit this mountain because the last part, the last 10 meters is straight up. And that is
straight up, like I would imagine on like El Capitan or like whatever that is.
Yeah,
like where it's
it's not just straight vertical rock where you can't even grab a hold of it. But
right.
it's hard scrambling, really hard. You'll see the next video I'm going to probably post on it. It's just straight up, and there's ropes and things like that. So I use the ropes. But that last part is the toughest part because you're tired, you're cold.
Right.
The sun was just coming up. So you think you're warm, but you're not warm because it hasn't warmed anything yet. And then you got to do this last part, which is extremely tough. But I loved it because you had to stay really focused. You had to ignore everything else just to get to this last part to get up the summit. Because again, I was by myself. So if you fall off, that's it, you know?
And so so you said a lot of people don't summit it. Do they get to just like where the ropes are and they're like, well, close enough? And
sometimes, yeah, they get to that crater rim.
Right.
And then they see that last part and they're too tired, or it's too late in the day. I had left early in the day. I knew I was wicked tired, but I was like, I have to get up this thing. Right. But it was a challenge.
Was it worth the climb? Obviously.
No, obviously, yeah. I mean, it's always worth the climb, whether you summit or not. I always suggest people climb a mountain because it's you learn so much from it.
Right. When you get up that straight part.
Yeah.
What's up on that summit?
Another. I think another.
Wind?
No. It's just a pole, like a little pole with a little flag. I gotta. You'll see it in the next video, but yeah, just like a little pole, which is something on the summit. It was on the Chilean side. Yeah.
And so, you were up there, same thing, 5-10 minutes.
Yeah. Oh yeah. That was even less. It was, and because it was so windy, I was literally like holding on to a rock, and I'm filming. Like, oh, this is great, and you'll see, and my hands just shaking. I'm just like, summit. Oh yeah, again, no arms were raised. No glorious.
And again, this is it's below zero.
Yeah,
and it's 100-mile-an-hour winds.
It was so bad. So I was literally holding on, and I had my hand wrapped around one of the ropes, and I'm just filming. Yeah, and you'll see it in the next video. It's pretty funny, but it wasn't funny at the time. I wasn't laughing. This is great. It's gonna be great footage.
So then you have to come down and you make it down. You make it down the mountain. In terms of like comparing those two, was one more? Oh, but before that, you said that you had climbed all night.
Yeah,
you're the only one out there. I'm assuming that they haven't set up stadium lighting so you can see where you're going.
No, it's a great. I got lost. That was the whole thing because
you got lost going up.
Going up, I got lost. There is a trail on Ojos, but I couldn't. I had a little light. I couldn't see it, so I got lost. So I just said, screw it. I just went straight up the face to the crater rim instead of going around to the right side because I just got lost. I was like, well, I know if I just go straight up.
I know if I'm going up, I'm going to get there.
Yeah, I'm going to get there eventually. Because I just said, I'm never going to find this trail. There's no way I'm going to find it. So I just went straight up the
So what kind of, what kind of light do you have?
A headlamp.
Oh, okay. So like a little miner's thing?
Yeah, like a little miner's thing.
Right,
yeah,
but that thing's blowing all over the place.
No, it's pretty stable, but the thing is you can only see this little gap. So then you think, oh, is this the route? And this the route. So you end up following the route. And I was like, this is not right because this could bring me over here. Let's get to the summit. I know the crater rim's up there. So I just started going straight up the face.
And it's not just dark. It is black as night.
It's black as night, yeah. Wasn't many stars out that night. Maybe it was. I was just waiting for the sun to come up. That false sense of, it'll warm me up because I was just literally just shaking. Gotta keep moving.
In the meantime, Elliot's down in the truck smoking.
Yeah, I think maybe it was. I don't know. He was having mate.
All right, so let me do this. I got to take a quick break, but I want to get to the third volcano. I want to learn about crater rims. Then there's a couple of other things I have to get back into. So let me do this. Quick break. More with Sean Burch next. Isn't there some place like in Italy I can go? Sean and I are trying to figure out where we're going to tandem.
What do they have in like wine country?
I started with the W&OD Trail along 66 for a hike. No, but
that's where we'll start. And then just walk to a high peak, climb it.
What's the place you mentioned in Colorado that you want me to go to?
Elbert. Elbert's the highest peak in Colorado, and during the summer, it's pretty much a walk up. My son, when he was on the him and I did that. We did that, and again, in a couple hours.
Yeah, no, and that sounds awesome, but I need something a little more exotic. Like, I don't want to say like, oh, I went mountain climbing with Sean Burch.
You want snow?
They'll go like, oh, you went with Sean. Where'd you go? Oh, Colorado. Yeah, like
just outside Denver.
No, I don't know mountains. I don't know, but we're not going to Everest.
Nothing in the United States. We can do the Himalaya if you want. Do a couple of those peaks. There's a couple trekking peaks, but there's still snow.
Can I get that in a weekend?
No.
Oh.
Takes a day and a half just to get to Kathmandu, and then you got to acclimatize. You're tough, man. I know what you want to do something in a weekend. You don't want to go to Colorado.
Right.
Nothing in the States.
I don't know anything in the States. I know until you said that.
Let's do a 14er in the United States. There's ones in California, ones in Colorado. Colorado's got so many different to choose from.
Is it crowded?
No. It depends on when you go. That's the whole thing. Is you don't want the crowds.
Well, I only like to go in the middle of the night. I just need a little light on my head.
I know. You like a challenge, and I will provide that for you.
So let's go back to Argentina. You were very kind. You took a picture on PCs.
Yeah.
Holding up, not wearing, but holding up an Elliot in the Morning shirt.
That's right.
That's awesome. Like that's great. That's great. And all I could think of is how cold are your hands right now taking that picture? Because you don't have gloves on or anything.
Yeah, I took the gloves off for the picture and then got in the car. But the truck was right by there.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. I mean, the guy took the picture. I came back down. He was like, I was like, all right, let's get in there. I was like, no, just before we go, give me this shirt. It was in the truck because I didn't take it out with me. Again, it's 12 ounces.
So are you it's 12 weight. Ounces? Are you that specific about what you're climbing with?
Yeah, I mean, if you're thinking your life is in your own hands, 12 ounces means something. So I'm sorry, Elliot. I had to wait to.
No, not at all. But like in my head, it doesn't. Like that doesn't.
No, I know
that doesn't register to me.
Yeah. Every little bit matters to me, especially when you're climbing by yourself at altitude.
Right.
Why bring the extra weight? Because you can climb faster. So I want to climb as fast as I possibly can and get back down, especially with the wind. Right. So
and you're already wearing. You said what? 6 layers.
Six layers.
Ooh, man.
Yeah. A full time. Usually you have a big layer on. You take it off. Because you want to climb cold. Always climb cold. You don't want to climb hot because then you sweat and then it gets trapped within you. Yeah, so you always try to climb cold. If you're climbing at altitude, climb cold.
You want to climb cold.
Yeah, so I was like, I'll take this off. But it just kept it was just, I couldn't stop shaking. I just said, I got to keep moving. I got to go faster.
Is it, if you're wearing 6 layers, is it hard to move? Like, I feel like that's, like, you got a crap ton of clothes
they're
on.
real light, though. High-tech stuff. I mean, it's real light. You can still move. Oh, yeah.
Oh,
it's
okay.
thin.
Yeah.
Or thin-ish.
Yeah. Thin-ish. Yeah, layers. You were talking about layers just to get through the layers.
Yeah, okay, I gotcha. But now the picture, which again, I think that's awesome. I think that's great that you did that. I can't believe that you did that. Is it like, so I'm looking over your shoulder in the picture.
Yeah.
Like that's part of the
mountain.
That's part of the mountain.
Yeah.
The volcano.
Yeah, part of the volcano, correct. Pieces, yeah.
When you get to the because what is I don't know the name of it, the volcano that's erupting right now in Iceland, and it's like spewing lava and stuff like that. When you get to the tops of these, and maybe you couldn't because of how windy it was and how cold it was and everything. Like, can you like
smell the sulfur?
Well, I was going to say, can you even look down in there?
Yeah, these are dormant, but yeah, you can like on Ojos, you saw the crater rim, so you know exactly where the volcano was, but these are all dormant volcanoes. They haven't erupted in a while.
But you're literally standing on the lip
of
the
crater
volcano.
Rim. Yep, and you can see down into the volcano.
Have you ever? And I understand that they're dormant. Have you ever, or is there climbing that's done where you go inside the volcano?
No, you usually go on a crater rim and then go to the. Yeah, if you go down, it's not going to be in the summit, so you usually go around. Like when I was on I climbed a peak a Cotopaxi in Ecuador, and you could smell the sulfur when you got to.
Oh, no kidding.
Yeah.
But these you couldn't.
No.
There's so much wind.
Maybe you could. I don't know, but I didn't. It was so windy. But yeah, they were dormant. I don't think there's any. No, there's nothing.
So the shirt just laid in the truck whole time.
The whole time.
Right. Okay.
I folded it nicely and then brought it out and said, "Hey, dude, take a picture."
So you didn't run into anybody else that was like, "Oh, dude, I listen. I know exactly."
Well, I'm glad you brought that up. This is funny. So when I get back to Mendoza, I only bring 2 sets of clothes with me because, again, weight.
Right.
So by the time I got back to Mendoza, those had been trashed completely. So all I had one clean shirt, which was Elliot in the Morning. So I got back to Mendoza and I had to leave the next day. So I went out. I was going to get some beers just to celebrate. And I was walking and I hear this guy go, "Hola, hola." And he's coming right at me. "Divertido, divertido." I'm like, "What?" And and he gets closer, "Divertido." And then he points at Elliot at your name and goes, "Divertido," and starts laughing, "Divertido," and then just walks away. So I found out what divertido was. It means funny or music. I think you got some fans.
He listens.
Yeah, I think he listens. I don't know how he gets it.
We're killing it in Mendoza.
And Mendoza, as I say, so I go either he's a fan or he's laughing at me. So I like to think that he's actually a fan of the Elliot in the Morning show. So I was like, oh, I got to tell Elliot this.
I heart app. You got the app.
He's got something. So
a little
glitchy. How's this guy? Of course, he was a little drunk and he was a little homeless. So I don't know.
By the way,
that could be a factor as well.
That's the sweet spot for me.
I don't know whether exactly.
Drunk and homeless is my sweet spot.
Yeah, I was thinking this guy looks like an Elliot fan because I know that type because I'm that type. So I was like, okay.
I have the same shirt, bro. The same shirt.
Laughs at me and then just walks away. So I'm like, all right, well, there you go.
Hey, will you explain? Tyler asked a question during the break that I thought was good, and I actually misinterpreted it. The guy who drives the guy in the truck who's like schlepping you all over the place.
Yeah.
You get out of the car, you're gonna go 3.5, 4, 5, 6 hours. You're going up the volcano or up the mountain or whatever we call it, right?
Mm-hmm.
And Tyler was like, Tyler's question was, do you have an arrangement with the driver? Now, I interpret that the guy's going to pull a prank and he's leaving you. Like, see you later. It didn't, but I think what Tyler was saying is, what if you don't come back? Like, how long does that do? Like, what do you do?
Yeah, we usually make arrangements, because you get so high that you can't communicate. We have the radios.
Right.
Two-way radios. So, he said, we do usually a specific time, like by 3:00. If he doesn't hear from me, at least I'm coming down or something like that, then he starts to get worried.
That's it.
And that's it. That's as far as we plan.
Whether or not he's going to come get me, that's a total another story.
Yeah.
But we never.
I thought it was like by 3:00 he gets worried.
Yeah.
By 5 he's really worried.
By 7:00 he's super worried, and by 9 he leaves. Because there's nothing like
that's too bad.
You can't. There's no one there to call and say, hey, get mountain rangers. There's nothing. There's no one there.
There's nothing.
No one there. There was no one there because it was so many. No one was even on the mountain, so there's not even a camp set up. There's nothing like that.
But when you're back in Mendoza, are there other Sean Burches there who are like waiting for the weather to break, or like are you literally a man on your own out there?
Mendoza is a major city, so again it takes a day and a half just to get to that Hastiera. But the people at the hotel are it's mining camps, so it's mostly guys that work in the Chilean mining camps that stay there.
Right.
So there's a couple different mountaineers. I met a couple people at the refugee huts, the huts that you have that people stay at.
Right, I gotcha.
Yeah.
I gotcha.
Yeah.
The you know what? Is that Mendoza right there? Yeah, that's nice.
Yeah.
That's
nice.
Wow. That's not what I expected.
No, not at all.
You fly into Mendoza and then you start driving north. So again, like I said, day and a half to get to this main area. It's like a high plateau. It's in the Andes. It's like almost like when I was on the Tibetan plateau. So it's very high. So you're like 10,000 feet, and from there, that's when you start, and you can see out in the volcanoes, the different volcanoes.
Is there anywhere you haven't been that like is still on your list of like? I don't mean particular like mountains or volcanoes or whatever, but just places that you haven't been.
Yeah, Antarctica. I would love to go to Antarctica, but it's so expensive.
What part? Why is it so expensive?
Well, Antarctica, it's down there. You know, I don't want to just.
Like, what do you want to do?
I don't want to take a boat trip. I want to climb mountains. So yeah, you'd have to get to the interior.
Right. Okay. Because you've run, you did a marathon on the North Pole. That you've done.
I did that. Yeah. This was my first and only marathon. I didn't want to. I wasn't really interested in marathons, but a marathon at the North Pole interested me because I had never been to the North Pole, and I get to kill two birds with one stone. So I go, I'll go there and I'll run a marathon. Let's see what happens. So I was fortunate. I won the race and broke the world record. So I wasn't expecting that, but I wasn't expecting the drunk Russian afterwards, the drunk naked Russian afterwards. But I did end up.
Wait a minute. So you would never run a marathon at all?
Never.
Do you but in part of your training and fitness every day? Are you an avid runner?
No, I don't like to run. The thing, before I left, I ran for 2 hours on a treadmill just to see what it would feel like, and I was like, oh, I could do this.
That's your only training for a marathon was 2 hours on a treadmill.
2 hours a week before I left, and then I got there, and then we were wearing snowshoes,
right?
So we had to run in snowshoes. I'd never done that, so I just we put the snowshoes on before. Again, my intention was not to win the race; it was more like, all right, let's just experience what it feels like to run at the North Pole and run a marathon. But then I was running, I was like, wow, I'm actually doing pretty good. And then when I passed the guy that, I was in the front, so I had a mantra. I was like, no one's going to pass me now. And I just kept going faster and faster. Plus, it was really, really cold at the North Pole.
But so when you're running, and again, you're not expected to do anything. At some point where you're like, hot damn, look at me, I'm towards the front. And at some point, everybody's behind you.
Yeah.
And you've never done this before.
Never done it before. It was like a loop.
God, people must hate you.
Yes.
No, I don't think so. Maybe they do. I don't know. To each his own. But I don't know why they would hate me if I'm winning the race.
Because you've never done this before. These people are
they've been
training
training for like 2 years.
Look at this jackass. Oh, he was on a treadmill for 2 hours.
Yeah, I know, but you don't talk about it before you race. You just kind of run the race, and afterwards you're just like, oh yeah, well this is my first marathon. I'm not going to do another one.
So you'll never do another marathon?
No, it doesn't interest me. I know there's a lot of people like marathons, and that's great, but I like climbing mountains.
Right.
Yeah.
Who's the drunk Russian in the North Pole?
Oh, all right. So they have a big tent set up at the North Pole, and so after the runners finish the race, you go in there, and there's this guy who's the camp head, and it was a Russian. The Russians run the whole base called Borneo, so he runs the whole base, and you think he's drinking vodka, but he was drinking from these 5-gallon things. And he was drinking cognac. Oh. So we came in, and he said, "Do shot." So I was the first one to do shot. He goes, no.
Oh, yeah, I won the race.
No, he's like, yeah. So now he's like, arm wrestle. So I'm like, this is some Russian thing. So we started arm wrestling, and every guy who came in, he would challenge them in arm wrestling. But every time he arm wrestled with somebody, he would take off a piece of clothing. I don't know why.
Not win or lose. He would just take off a piece of clothing.
But yeah, I let him win because I'm like, this guy holds, this is the Russian. He's the head of the camp. So the entire time people started coming in, we just kept drinking and drinking and drinking. So by the last guy to come in was the BBC photographer. And by that time, the Russian was down to his skivvies. And he's like, come in, I'm going to arm wrestle you. And the guy, BBC photographer, had been out there. It was cold. He was really tired, right? And the guy was like, what? So we had a couple shots. Meanwhile, so the BBC photographer, after a couple shots, he was drunk as hell. So they start arm wrestling, and the BBC photographer didn't know to let him win, so he was like beating him. So the Russian guy saw this, just went, bam, punched him in the nose, broke his nose. People start flailing. Other Russians come in, and I'm sitting there, by that time I was so wasted off the cognac. I'm just like, only at the North Pole, right? It's like, the only this could happen at the North Pole. Guy's drunk, he's naked, running around. I got great pictures of it. I should send you a couple of those. I was definitely taking pictures then.
But is that, I mean, I don't assume that every place is the drunk Russian at the North Pole, but is there in your travels all around the world, all over the place, to me, that also seems like that's part of it. Like the mountain climbing and the drive and not even the records, but to do stuff to push yourself and stuff that's never been done. But is the cultural part of it, like this, there's serious culture, but then also like the fun part of it. Like, do you get to take part in that a lot?
Oh, yeah. I mean, I always go with locals for logistics. I never go with Western companies. I always go with locals.
Oh, really?
Always. Yeah. It's tough for that's one of the things I speak about leadership with my executive workshops and stuff like that, because you have a group of people. Most of them don't speak English. Maybe one guy speaks broken English. So how do you lead them on this expedition, whether it's crossing Nepal or whether it's climbing first descents?
Right.
How do you get them motivated to do that? But within that, yes, you deal with a lot of culture. Most of it's good, but I have instances like I had yak herders in China that came in my tent at 2:00 in the morning with knives, looking to rob me and stuff like that. So you always
Are you serious?
Oh yeah. So you always have
a yak herder is exactly what I think it is.
Yeah, they're out in the high Tibetan plateau, and at 2:00 in the morning I hear this zip, and I had my ice axe with me, and I'm like, well, it doesn't sound, my cook shouldn't be coming in here,
Right.
And it was these yak herders. They came in with knives.
So what'd you do?
Well, I started swinging the ice axe at them, and they started running. I got out and I started screaming, and then my cook came out and had in his underwear and had rocks and started throwing the rocks at him. Chased him down the hill. Yeah, chased him away.
And so where did they just took off?
They took off. And they came back, and
they came back.
The guy came back and says, I talked to him. They said they just wanted to know who was in the tent. I was like, at 2:00 in the morning, they want to know who was in the tent. So obviously they had come to rob me. Which again, you have to.
Did you have anything of value?
Well, I had my camera equipment, things like that, yeah, and stuff. So yeah, but I get it. They have nothing, so. Yeah, they're curious. They're going to test it. Right. And so, but, I'm kind of used to that. I've had that, going into villages and things like that with guys who, they gang up on you and they follow you and they, yeah.
It's weird because it didn't dawn on me, but now, like you're saying, like the guy who drove you in Argentina, he could have 3 buddies in a car up the road. You have no idea.
Yeah, you have no idea. I mean, yeah.
Is that always in your mind, though?
Yeah, but that's why logistics is so tough. I mean, I vetted a lot of people, got to this guy. His guy is a super guy, and he is also a really good mountaineer. So we could speak the lifestyle. So we had a lot of things in common. He'd climbed on Everest, he'd climbed Lhotse, and one of the really good Argentinian mountain climbers. So once you get that, then I felt pretty good. But I was nervous coming over there just because, again, I don't know. I had given him money. Right. I'd given him half the money. So you always have to worry about that going with locals. But, he turned out to be a good guy.
So these two just came into your tent in the middle of the night?
3 guys. Three yak herders.
Jesus Christ.
Yeah.
And by the way, you have to get through all that and then still go climb or whatever it is
climb
you're
the
doing.
next day. Yeah.
Ooh,
That's part of the fun. That's part of it. Life is adventure, Elliot, as you know. And that's it. You got to expect, if things go smoothly, it never goes smoothly. You have to know that going in, that things are not going to go right. Again, when I got to Argentina, the entire day, there were like 20 days. We've never seen anything like this. High winds. There's no chance.
Right.
And I was like, oh my God. So, again, getting depressed and then find, okay, there's 3 or 4 hours. How can we manage this expedition? How can I still pull something out of this to make it worth my motivation, right? And then that's how I became up with, climbing at night, doing road to summit, back to road. That was the only thing we could do because you could not set up tents because they get blown away.
And there's always
in the vehicle.
And like you said, nothing ever goes as planned. Like you can't control it. Yeah. Something's always gonna
go wrong.
The so the Antarctica you want to go to.
Yep.
Is there a mountain that's still out there that you haven't climbed that you want to climb?
Well, most of I like to climb first descents. So there's always mountains around the world that still haven't been climbed. So I love doing that. I've climbed like 140, 160 of those.
160 first descent.
Around the world. Yeah, right. Yeah. So
is that maybe something you and I should look at?
I think so.
How much would you hate me?
I feel that I'd be short roping you. I had a rope tied, I'd be pulling you up. Come on, Elliot. Come on.
Am I supposed to tie it to this?
Yeah. You'd have one of those things with beer on it, you'd just be sipping it. Get him up the mountain. Come on, Elliot.
No, but like even when you were talking about like how focused you have to be in the whole thing, I got to imagine that even if like somebody experienced was with you, there's really no small talk that's taken place. when you're doing that.
Yeah, exactly. And that's the reason I don't climb with other people, because you not only have to worry about your own life, you'd have to worry about their lives, because especially if you're roped together. So if he trips and falls and stumbles down, he's going to take me with him.
Right.
So my thing is always like I depend on myself. If something bad happens, I can live with it because it's on me.
Right.
I can live with that. So if something bad happens, I can live with that because it's on me. But if something bad happens to somebody else, takes me with them, that would eat at me. I learned that earlier in the game when I started climbing. I started climbing with other climbers, and I noticed I was like, they're not doing this right. They're not doing. And I was like, no, I'm going to start doing them solo.
Do you know what your next? I know you're not going to tell me, but do you know what your next expedition is?
Taking Elliot to
a
first ascent in Argentina. That's my goal. That's a lofty goal.
What about that third volcano?
Yeah, now that I've mentioned it, though, I think maybe someone's going to probably try to do it. Maybe, I don't know. I've thought about going back to back.
You think the guy who was yelling at DiVertino?
DiVertino.
Hey, I heard him mention the third volcano.
Yeah.
Why don't we go do that one?
Yeah, we could.
Yeah.
It's very remote. We could do that. And not many people climb that. Even less people climb that one because they're all so remote. But this one's really remote.
That was really.
And that was the reason why we didn't do it, is because we didn't have enough time.
Right.
With the wind to go all the way there, and then the wind's going to be too bad, wouldn't be able to climb it. So
right. But something like that doesn't eat at you. It's not like you didn't.
No.
It does.
It does. Yeah. The entire time back, I kept going, we could have at least tried. He was like, no. We've done all we could. But yeah, it still eats at me because I was ready to go. I was ready to go. Especially after Ojos, I felt really.
We felt good after that.
I felt really good. You feel tired after you get back down, but it's amazing. After I get back down, you're really tired, you're sore. But the next morning, I get up and I'm just like, let's go. Let's climb another one. Yeah.
I want to ask you something. There was a story that I held on to from a couple of days ago. This go back to Mount Everest. Maybe it was a week or so ago. They were talking about a new record had been set of the youngest person ever to base camp, and I think it was a 4-year-old girl. Let me check. She was either 4 or 5. 4-year-old girl became the youngest person to reach Everest base camp. Are people getting stupid?
Yeah, it's pretty. What's the point? What's the point of a 4-year-old to go to 17,600 feet? I don't understand.
Because there had been a 5-year-old that had done it, so maybe it was to break that record.
I wonder if they did it all themselves. Or the parent. I'm sure the parents were with them. I'm sure they weren't by themselves.
She just was like, give me a yak herder,
they probably carried them some parts of the way. I'd assume maybe not. But I mean, that's the part that gets crazy on these mountains. That's why I don't go back to Everest and things like that. Is because it just gets more crazy and crazy every year. I mean, there was more deaths last year on Everest than ever before, and I expect it will continue. The more deaths, it seems that attracts more people. And that's why I like doing first ascents, because no one's there. And that's the whole point of mountaineering.
Right.
Is just you and the mountain and nature. That's the beauty of it.
But I feel like just kind of echoing on what you said, you hear that of, if there was a year where there was nothing out of Everest, and I mean, this is a horrible thing to say, but if there was nothing out of Everest, the excitement's gone. It's almost I got to be there. I got to be there.
Forgotten.
For it.
Yeah. So the deaths and the mystery of it all, which to me there is no mystery. I mean, I knew the mountain well before I even climbed it. And that was over 20 years ago. I knew the whole route before I even got there.
Right.
It was in my memory, so I knew the way. But but it brings out the yahoos, man, for sure.
Because that seems young. Like 4 years old. Like what do you need to be there for?
Yeah, absolutely. There's no point of doing that. But nothing surprises me these days.
But you know the part that kind of sucks though, and I can't say that I get it because I'm not going to go there. We're not climbing that together. There's still something though about saying you stood on top of the world. Like that just seems like it would be such an awesome thing to do, is to be able to stand on top of the world where there's no place higher to stand. Like that still seems it seems magical to me.
Yeah, but that was another thing we talked about earlier. Is that when I summited it, you had no view. It was really cloudy. It was really windy.
Right.
So again, I was up there maybe 3 minutes, got a couple pictures, and went back down. I was just trying to stay alive because I wasn't climbing with supplementary oxygen. So when I got back down, I didn't really bask in it until I got flown out because I had frostbite on my feet. I'd flown out to to Kathmandu. And once I was in Kathmandu, took care of my toes, wrapped them up. Then I started going, wow, okay, wow, this is pretty cool.
I did it.
Yeah.
I
It
made it up
was
there.
a goal. I mean, I had the goal for 4 years. I trained for 4 years. I wanted to climb alone. I wanted to, I had a specific style I wanted to climb it in. So once that is all done, then you can look back and say, okay, cool, it's great. But then I thought that'd be it. But then that's when it kind of started. Was like, well, what else can I do? That's when I started going again to the North Pole and climbing around the world.
When you look back at all the, what'd you say, 160 mountains or something?
Yeah, 100, something like that. First ascents. Yeah.
Is there a favorite mountain that you've climbed?
First ascents?
Just at all. Like when you think back in the catalog of everything that you've climbed.
Yeah,
you go like, you know what?
Well,
that's my number one so far.
Well, for the longest time, people asked me that. I didn't know, but it actually turned out to be Everest, because once I had Everest goal for 4 years, and I thought once I climbed Everest, I could go home, get a job, get a wife, do the 9 to, I'll be satisfied. But I found out I wasn't satisfied. I wanted more and more and more. So I realized that's not the happiness. The happiness comes from within yourself, happiness within yourself. So that's why I learned the most.
Right.
So to me, but it took me 15 years even to realize that. So to me, that's the biggest lesson I learned, was the fact that, you can do all these physical things, but that's not where happiness comes in your life. Happiness comes from within yourself. And how do you gain that happiness? And once you have that, then everything else becomes even better.
Do you ever think, will there obviously there'll be a time where you can't do this anymore?
No, that's not going to happen. I get that a lot. You're getting older and you won't be able to do this longer. I'm like, what are you talking about? It's like, I'm going to do this as long as I possibly can.
So you're going to climb a mountain, and you're one of those healthy, crazy people that'll live to like 190.
Well, I hope so. That's the goal.
Is it really?
Well, to live, not 190, but to live and be fit. And then I told my son one day, I'm just going to kind of see you later. I'm going to mosey off on a peak and then just not come back. To me, that's a nice ending.
That's not how you're going to go.
I'm certainly not going to go. I'm not going to go sitting in a rest home or something like that. This is not my style. I'm not going to.
You're going to go climb a mountain.
I'm
and
not going to go quiet. No, I'm not going to climb a mountain. But I'm not going to just sit there. I'm going to go off and be as of now.
Right.
Things could change.
Right.
Right. But go off in nature and then just kind of sit down and take in the views. Yeah. I've thought about that. Yeah.
And then get hungry and get up and walk back.
Well, by that time, I hopefully will be old enough that it will come quickly. But yeah, I've just through experience, my stepfather meant a lot to me. Had dementia, Lewy body dementia, and I did a lot of time with him. I took care of him, helped my mother take care of him, and I saw how slowly he died.
Sure.
And I don't want that to happen to me. I don't want to go out that way,
because
he was a real fit
wants
guy.
that.
No,
Nobody
I know,
that.
but I've already made the decision. If it comes to that, I don't want my son or whoever I'm with or whatever, that if I happen to get remarried or something like that to take care of me in that way. I want to be able to go out the way I've always wanted to go out, and that hopefully, again, if things change,
that'll be the time we get roped together.
Yeah.
Like, great, I want to go back,
Elliot,
but I can't. Because Sean had to come out here to die.
Elliot, guess what? This is the mountain I'm going on. You probably be going, thank you, Lord. Sorry, buddy, you're going down with me.
Thank God I brought cigarettes.
Yeah, exactly. Let's smoke as we go out. You like that sunset? That's the last one you're going to see, pal. That'd be kind of glorious, wouldn't it? Yeah. Think about that. You want to climb with me now? Because that might be in the back of your mind.
Hey, Sean always said that one of these could be the last one.
Exactly. Is this it?
All these years I was nice, and then this is how I get paid back. All right, Sean Burch. Go to SeanBurch.com for all things Sean related. All the videos and stuff. The videos are fascinating. Cool. The videos are great. It's unbelievable to watch. Icefall Doctors is still on demand.
Yeah.
Fantastic series, all on the Sherpas and the Icefall Doctors.
Yeah, and Everest on Everest.
On Everest. What else? Do I have to plug anything else? No,
I'm just doing executive leadership workshops and keynote speaking. So yeah,
good for
any
you.
company's interested, I'm always there, man. I like to get
Excellent.
people motivated.
Excellent. Look at me.